Good morning, everyone, especially to our professor, Sir Quesado. My name is Theopatrick Manolo L. Bunhok, and I will be going to report or discuss the topic about human resource management laws and regulations. All right. So, before we proceed with our discussion proper, let us identify first our learning outcomes. So, at the end of the lesson, you should be able to identify the laws that protects every employees, discuss the different laws in Philippines in the workplace. Okay? So just to have review, we all know that human resource management plays a very important role in the company or in the organization. So having a good human resource management can help the company to achieve their goals. So human resource management will not only help you to look for the best and qualified individual to be part of your team, but also to ensure the protection of every employees that you have. Okay, so the practice of human resource management um, was backed up by a legal framework, and because we are in the Philippines, then we will be discussing the laws that was created to protect our Filipino workers. Okay, and the Constitution as the supreme law of the land was created this law to protect our workers. Okay, so we let us track the laws cited below as the mainstream legal backbone of the human resource management. Okay, so here the first law that was created was during 1935 Philippine Constitution. So under Article 13, Section 6, the state shall afford protection to labor, especially to working women and minors, and shall regulate the relations between landowner and tenant, and between labor and capital in industry and in agriculture. The state may provide for compulsory arbitration. Okay, so if you will ask, what is arbitration? So arbitration means to settle a dispute. Okay, so if you have problems with your employees, then the state will help you to settle that dispute or to solve that problem. Okay, and this law emphasizes the protection of um, working women, minors, and also in the workers in the agriculture industry. Because during this time, the most common type of work was with agriculture industries, so being a farmer. Okay, so next, um, the second law was created on 1973 Philippine Constitution. So under Article 2, Section 9, the state shall afford protection to labor, promote full employment and equality in employment, ensure equal work opportunities regardless of sex, race, or creed, and regulate relationship between workers and employers. The state shall assure the rights of workers to self-organization, collective bargaining, security of tenure, and just and humane conditions of work, so the state may provide compulsory arbitration. Okay, so this law was created to protect our workers and ensure them to have a um, good condition in their workplace. This law also provide an equality and security in work regardless of your sex or race. So um, equal work opportunities for all. Okay, and because our government really wants to protect our workers, then they created the law. The labor code of the Philippines. Okay, it is by the power of Presidential Decree Number 442, and it was enacted on May 1st, 1974. So under the Labor Code of the Philippines, it is where you will find all the laws that was created to protect your protect every workers. Okay, so if you are part of human resource management team, then it is better for you to know and understand all the laws under the labor code of the Philippines. Okay, so to proceed, during in 1987 Philippine Constitution, under Article 13, Section 3, the state shall afford full protection to labor, local and overseas, organized and unorganized, and promote full employment and equality of employment opportunities for all. It shall guarantee the rights of all workers to self-organization, collective bargaining and negotiations, and peaceful concerted activities, including the right to strike in accordance with law. They shall be entitled to security of tenure, humane conditions of work, and living wage. They shall also participate in policy decision-making processes affecting the rights and benefits as may be provided by the law. Okay, so this law was created to protect not only our local workers, but also our workers who who are working abroad, or our OFWs. Okay, and also by the help of this law, um, each workers can have a strike, but again, it must be in accordance with the law. Okay, and every time the company or the organization will have changes or will have new um, set of guidelines or rules and regulations that might affect their workers, then they will or they must select an representative of their workers to join them in their decision making process, because because by doing this, the workers will be or can have assurance that their rights will be protected. Okay, so next, let us discuss the 10 basic rights of workers in the Philippines. So it is under the 1987 Philippine Constitution, under Presidential Decree 442, or also known as the Labor Code of the Philippines. So these are equal work opportunities for all, security of tenure, work days and work hours, weekly rest day, wage and wage related benefits, payment of wages, female employees, employment of children, safe working conditions, and rights to self organization and collective bargaining. So let us discuss each one of them, and let us begin with the first one. So, the equal work opportunities for all. So, it is provided in Article 3, Declaration of Basic Policy of the Labor Code of the Philippines. Okay, so the state shall protect labor, promote full employment, provide equal work opportunity regardless of gender, race, or creed, and regulate employees relationship. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, that the state must provide equal work opportunities for all. Okay, so regardless of your gender, race, or creed. Okay, next is the security of tenure. So every shall be assured of security of tenure. So no employee can be dismissed from work except for a just or authorized cause, and only after due process. So just cause refers to any wrongdoing committed by an employee, including first, serious misconduct. Okay, so um, every company or organization have its own set of rules and regulation that employee needs to follow. Okay, not following those set of um, rules and regulation and having a serious misconduct, then it can cause employee termination of his or her work. Okay? The second, willful disobedience of employers' lawful orders connected with work. Okay, so as an employee, um, you have an obligation to perform the task that was given to you by your employers. Okay, so if you did not perform the task that was given to you, then your employer uh, might terminate your work because you did not perform the task or your obligations. Okay, so the third one, gross and habitual neglect of duty. So it is the same sa number two, no? So neglect of duty or not having or not doing the task that was given to you, especially if it is habitual, no? Because it can affect the company's performance. Okay, so next, fraud or willful breach of trust. Okay, so this is very important because um, um, it can cause termination of your work. Okay, so like for example, if you are applying for a job, then you will need to submit necessary documents, your resume. So you have to be sure that uh, all the documents and that you will submit is true and correct. Okay, because if even though na-hire ka na, but if the company will check and will found out that your documents is a fraud document, then uh, it your your work will be terminated. Okay, or you will be terminated sa imong work. It is because of fraudulent act, no? Or sa Bisaya pa, pangilad. Okay, so you have to be honest in submitting all of your documents. Okay, so next, commission of crime or offense against the employer, employer's family members or representative, and last, other analogous cases. Okay, so these examples are some of the examples of offenses that can cause employees termination of their work. Okay, and although if the employee commit these offenses, he or she is still entitled to have a due process. Okay, so you cannot the employer cannot easily terminate his or her employee without undergoing the process of due process. Okay, and also the inability of probationary employee to meet the employer's prescribed standards of performance made known to him or her at the time of hiring is also a just cause for dismissal. Okay, so it depends on the discretion of the company. Uh, Other company will might give you a chance, no? So they will renew your contract, but other company will not give you a chance. So you will not be you or your contract will not be renewed. Okay, you did not achieve or perform the task that was given to you. Okay, so you did not meet the standards. Okay, and also there are causes as well that or there are um, times or causes that the employee is terminated, but it's not the fault of the employee. Okay, because There are authorized causes refers to economic circum. Okay, so there are authorized cause refers to an economic circumstance not due to the employee's fault, including retrenchment to prevent losses and closure of business. Okay, so the first one, to prevent losses. Okay, so there are times that the company is having a financial problem. Okay, so one way to resolve that issue or problem is to have cost cutting. Okay, so by doing that cost cutting, then the company will do a layoff of their employees. Okay, so some employees will be terminated, but again, it is not their fault. It's just that the company is having a financial problem. Okay, and also closure of business. But again, um, um, even though naga iba ni siya nga scenario, but still there are process that the company needs to follow. Okay, so now after the due process and still the employee will be terminated gihapon right after sa due process, so the employer should serve the notice to the employee of the intent to dismiss and grounds for dismissal. Okay, so you have the employer must inform their employees nga they will be terminated. Okay, and also they must give opportunity for the employee to explain his or her side. Okay, why ngano ilan na nabuhat, no? And also, last, serve the notice of the decision to dismiss. Right? So next, um, work days and work hours. Okay, so the normal working hours of 8 hours a day. So meal and rest period. So meal break of 1 hour and short rest period shall be considered compensable working time. Okay, so um, um, every wor you will be given 1 hour for lunch break and then two 15 breaks, two 15 minutes small break. Okay, but again, it is um, compensable working time gihapon even though naka-break ka. Right? So next, workers must be paid their wages for all hours works. And if work hours fall between 10 p.m. and 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., workers are entitled to have a night differential pay, which is 10% of the basic or regular rate. So, in addition to their pay of regular works hours work, no, so if they work for over 8 hours a day, then they're entitled to have an overtime pay. Okay. Okay. So next, weekly rest day. Okay, so a weekly day off of 24 consecutive hours should be scheduled by the employer upon consultation with the workers. Okay, so there are no fixed day off. Okay, as long as it must be 24 consecutive hours. Okay, because there are workers nga ang day off is Saturday, Sunday, na ay Monday, Tuesday, but the common is Saturday, Sunday. Okay? But it doesn't matter as long as you have 24 consecutive hours a day off. Alright? So next, wage and wage related benefits. The wage is the amount paid to an employee for the service rendered. Wage can be fixed for a given period. So there is corresponding minimum wage for a particular region or sector as provided by the law. So if I'm not mistaken, here in Region 8, our minimum wage is 355, and then I'm not sure if it is already implemented katong 40 increase sa minimum wage. 40 pesos increase or 45, I think. Okay. So next is the payment of wages. So wages shall be paid in cash, but there are times na if the employee doesn't have ATM yet, so there are company that will uh, give or provide a check instead of cash sa ila employee. But again, it is still okay because check can be convertible to cash as well, Japon. So it's okay ra. So payment can be made through a bank. Payment shall be made directly to the workers, and it shall be given not less than once every 2 weeks or twice within a month, and intervals not exceeding 16 days. So there are 15 and 30 payday. Okay, so next would be female employees. Okay, so as part of protecting our female workers, the employers must provide welfare facilities such as separate dressing rooms and laboratories must be installed in the workplace. So prohibition against discrimination concerning pay, equal pay for work of equal value. So for promotion, training, opportunities, study, and scholarship grants. Again, there must be no discrimination. So, bisag female ang worker, then she is entitled as well to have equal work opportunities sa male nga workers. Alright? So next, employment of children. So the minimum employment age is 15 years of age. Any worker below 15 years of age should be directly under the sole responsibility of parents or guardians provided that work does not interfere with the child's schooling or development. So they need to have a work permit from DOLE. Okay, and the minimum age of employment is 18 years old for hazardous job and 15 years for non-hazardous job. Okay, so example of this is uh, bantay sa tindahan or bantay sa or being a teller. So kasagaran bantay sa internet cafe, coffee shops, ganang mga kasagaran basta dili lang hazardous job. Okay ra ang 15 years old ana nga work. Okay? So here, safe working conditions. So employers must provide workers with every kind of on-the-job protection against injury, sickness, or death through safe and healthful working condition. Okay, so proper illumination and ventilation, fire exits and extinguishers, occupational health personnel and services must be provided at the workplace by the employers. So it is under DOLE Occupational Safety and Health Standards as amended in 1989. So again, as mentioned earlier, the employers must provide um, good working conditions. No, so it must have humane working conditions. No, and the employer must protect their employees, okay, against the injury, sickness, and even death. Okay, so now last would be rights to self-organization and collective bargaining. Okay, the right to self-organization is the right of every worker, free of any interference from the employer or government, to form or join any legitimate workers' organization, association, or union of his or her own choice, except those classified as managerial or confidential employees. All employees may be or may form or join unions for purpose of collective bargaining and other legitimate concerted activities. Okay? An employee is eligible for membership in an appropriate union on the first day of his or her employment. So in collective bargaining, the two parties also decide upon a method for resolving grievances. So collective bargaining results in a contract called collective bargaining agreement or CBA. Okay, so in this law, under labor code of the Philippines, every worker have the right to choose, no, to choose to be part of the workers' organization, association, or union of his or her choice. Okay, and also um, the every workers, as I've said, every workers may or may not join this union, but having or if you are a member of that organization, association, or union, then you can be sure that you there is someone, no, or that union will help to protect your right as a worker. Okay, so you will be protected in your workplace because of that union. Okay, so here is my reference about my report, and it ends. My report ends here. So I hope that you have learned something, and thank you for your time, and thank you for listening, and have a good day ahead. Okay.